Well, you may think living here in the Sunshine State is a healthy way to retire or live out the later years of your life. But a new report on senior health in Florida and the United States might alarm you. The America's Health Rankings Senior Report by the United Healthcare Foundation lays out the healthiest states for seniors, highlighting the pros and cons this population is facing. For Florida's 4.2 million seniors, this year's report highlights an eye-opening trend. It seems more people ages 65 to 74 are drinking more alcohol and are suffering from more depression. So what's behind these trends? Here to share more is Dr. Luminita Luca, geriatric psychiatrist and assistant professor of clinical psychiatry at the University of Miami. Dr. Luca, great to have you with us.
Thank you for inviting me here today.
Yeah, so you and I have spoken a little bit before about this. It is an eye-opening report when it comes to some of the behaviors that are going on with seniors. So specifically with depression, kind of address that for us. Why do you think we're seeing an uptick in that with seniors?
This report shows us that the percentage of seniors suffering from depression has increased in Florida from about 11% to 16% in the latest report in 2019. So this is a trend that is being seen nationally. There is an increased rate of depression overall in the nation. Why exactly this happens, it is difficult to say. However, we know that depression is a multifactorial condition. There are many risk factors playing a role into this. For example, we have biological risk factors such as family history of depression or prior depressive episodes. But there are also some other risk factors such as low socioeconomic factors or social isolation or high burden of health problems such as chronic pain.
Now, this was a report that came out and gave us a picture nationally of what's going on with seniors. And something that I thought was interesting, too, is that it kind of broke down and segmented seniors by age. So it calls young seniors people who are ages 65 to 74, which many people still think is fairly relatively young and active. You can still be active in those ages if you have good health. So it talks about that. Let's take a look, and we're going to put up on the screen some of the statistics that we actually saw with this and some of the pros and cons, some of the challenges and some of the strengths. So let's take a look at some of the challenges. So here we go. Here's some of the challenges. High rates of use of intensive care units. About a third of seniors are physically inactive. That's one of the things you mentioned. Low percentage of volunteerism among seniors. So it seems like if a senior, no matter what your age, a young senior, an older senior, if you're isolated, that's not necessarily good, is it?
It's not. And this is one of the risk factors for depression. And I tell all my patients that they need to be active. And by being active, I mean that I encourage them to be physically active, to engage in physical activity. I want them to be socially active. And volunteerism is part of creating networks and keeping the relationships with their family members, with their friends. Maybe they can go out and join a club, and that's very important for overall for the mental health. Absolutely, and we're going to pop up on the screen some of the risk factors as well, because I think anybody who's watching this, if they have their parents are in that age group, or maybe their grandparents or friends or their neighbors, this is something that they need to be aware of to perhaps maybe keep an eye on them and see if there are any of these depressive symptoms. So for example, some of the risk factors up there, females are at a higher risk than men. That's true. Talk about that. Why are women more at risk of depression than men? We know that the rates of depression are about 2 times higher in women than in men. We do not understand really why is that, but one of the reasons that it might be that women are much more likely to report the depression, such as feeling sad, feeling overwhelmed, as opposed to men, who are more likely to report, for example, a headache rather than acknowledging that they feel sad or they may be feeling depressed. Right. One of the other risk factors, or one of the things too that the report pointed out nationwide, is that suicides have gone up in that group 16%. Why do you think that's so high? suicide is a major health problem. It's the 10th cause of suicide nationally, and the #1 risk factor for suicide is depression. There are some other risk factors such as drinking, social isolation. For the elderly population, it's very interesting to note that white men, elderly above 85 who are single, for those elderly, they really have a very high risk of suicide. Unfortunately, we have to very careful follow these patients.
Absolutely, and we really appreciate you coming in here and giving us some of your expertise on this, and kind of really just highlighting what we as a community need to continue to look out for. So we really appreciate that. And I know you said one thing too, that if you're feeling these symptoms, go see your doctor.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right. Doctor, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It was fun to be here today.
I'm glad that you were able to join us. And if you are in crisis or you just need someone to talk to, you can call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline 24 hours a day. That number is 1-800-273-8255, and we'll have that for you on our Facebook page at Your South FL.